Good day, shipmates. Welcome aboard. My name is Nate Jones. I just want to briefly go over the runoff for the money. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to business, there are three factors that I know of, that govern money for me. Of course, the first is that tithe and free will offering that belongs to God. Because it is He that giveth me strength to become wealthy or to gain wealth and so on and so forth. And I'm not here to discuss poverty versus riches, poverty versus wealth. I'm not into that discussion. My discussion basically centers around the money in terms of the three things that I look at it. First, of course, is my worship of God or toward God as it relates to the money. My offerings to Him, my tithes, and my offerings. Then, of course, there is my wants and my needs, which I already told you that once I have settled it with God, what it is I want. And that is important to me because it's like money is like a vehicle. Yeah. And a vehicle has a purpose. The purpose of a vehicle is basically to get you from point A to point B. Not just one time, but several times. Meaning, you might want to go here today or there today and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. It also means that if you're trying to get from here to the moon, you're not expecting to make that trip on a weekly basis. You go, and you come back. It's a trip like that. Money is a vehicle to get you from point A to point B. But here's the point for me personally. I need to establish where it is I'm going and why. Because once I get it fixed as to what I want and for the reasons I want it, once I get to that place, then I get off. The rest is where God wants to go and what God wants to do. Because by rights, it's His vehicle. I'm riding it. I may be the overseer, as it were, of the vehicle, making sure it's maintained, making sure it's operable, and so on and so forth. But the key is knowing when my stop is here. God's continued issues are they very important for me. Now, there is an aspect in money that of the three, the tithes, my stuff, and this third one, for me the third one is most important. Notwithstanding the tithe, notwithstanding my own desires and needs which become met. God has made an arrangement with me, and it's with the understanding that I will take care of this business, notwithstanding my tithes which belongs to him, notwithstanding the offering that belongs to him, but that portion of the money, that vehicle that God allowed me to facilitate, what happens to that money? Okay. My desire, after I have reached the plateau of my own wants and desires, I have something set aside for my family, my children, and my wife. Notwithstanding that, my passion is orphans, widows, and that 1%. Before I talk to you about the 1%, and let not your heart be troubled, I'm not talking about that 1%. I will explain the 1% of which I refer to a little later in the heart talk. I cannot imagine a woman who is in love with her husband serving him faithfully. He treats her with the utmost respect and kindness and courtesy. They have eked out, as it were, a life for themselves, and they're being governed by the love and passion that God has placed in the universe. They're drinking freely and deeply from this love pool, and they are enjoying themselves. And lo and behold, she gets that phone call that every woman who is madly in love with her husband gets, and he's no longer with her. He has passed. I can't even imagine the horror of such a thing. And then couple that with the fact that she's immediately asked to make arrangements for his body to be removed. I can't imagine. Coupled with that, the overwhelming responsibility of caring for whether she has kids or not, or caring for the house, caring for the needs of others, even notwithstanding her own devastating needs. I can't imagine. I can't even imagine the putrefying miasma of men who look forward to these circumstances just so that they can rake, as it were, from these women what their husbands have allowed for them. Just the thought alone breaks my nerves. Whatever monies God gives me, allows to flow through me, I will champion. Whatever monies God allows me to champion, I'm going to deal with orphans. I remember when I was a young boy, and I used to live in a small little village sort of thing. And We had this giant wall outside of our village. When you come out my house, you can either look left or you can look right. Because it was a one-way, everybody normally looked right because there was nothing but that big wall when you looked left, because it was like the end of the line, and it was this big wall, and above the wall there was this giant fence. And every so often you would see hands gripping the fence, and I would ask, who are those children on that fence? And never really got a straight answer. Through the years, I found out that it was an orphanage. They were children of the fence. They were orphans. And I remember going through life, and the way life took me, I ended up being one of those children of the fence. And I would look down and see the house that I used to live in. I got a chance to experience what it means to be an orphan. Not that my father and mother were not with us, but life and circumstances in life and people and their take on what a family should be, and all of these things that work toward devastation and loss, choices and situations. So, knowing firsthand what it's like to be in an orphanage, understanding the wherewithal that people who seemingly relate to orphans, they can only but go so far. They can only but do so much. Because, unless a child is your child, the love you give that child works out to be the best that you can get. My desire is to see about the orphans. And I have my suspicious feeling that I think that I can do a good job doing that. By God's grace, I plan on doing that. Last but not least, the 1%. There are people that are working for God in the gospel ministry. Some of them do quite well because they come from a wherewithal where they can matriculate through life and save and have something to fall back on and be able to meet a retirement plan that they have set in motion. There is that 1% after having worked for the master, they find themselves destitute and afflicted. And I can almost see them thankful that they had an opportunity to work for the master. And yet they still don't have sometimes food to eat in abundance. Maybe they're put in a place where they have to be told what they're going to eat. And sometimes pork is offered them. And with tears in their eyes, they don't always able to say no, because sometimes they don't even know what they're eating. Bless their hearts. My money. Like Job said, I want to seek them out. I can't save the world. But I can do what God gives me the option and the oomph to do. With my team. Because it's not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, said the Lord. I don't need to be seen or heard. just need to know it's done. That's it. My name is Nature.